I'm Brad,
And I'm Aaron.
and you're listening to the Musial Suspects. I like it.
Me too. It's more professional.
It does, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know,
Just feel the beat, Brad.
yeah,
Just feel the beat.
just I'll wait. I'll explain it after.
You guys should see our dance moves right now. It's pretty great.
They're fresh. Is fresh still a thing?
Yeah, it can be.
All right.
About as fresh as Bowman's arm is.
So, for those of you guys who didn't listen to the podcast last week we just had to play that song in to our microphones via the phone speakers. And this week, we invested $3 and we got ourselves an audio input cable. And man, what a difference that makes.
Hashtag professionalism.
Very professional. So, welcome back to the Musial Suspects. I know it's been a long break. This is just something we do for fun. And myself, I'm a substitute teacher and I'm a youth pastor. And so I've got a lot of things that go on. And so we just kind of got to cram this podcast in where we can.
Yeah.
And the last one was an hour and 10 minutes. This one's going to be less because right now the Cardinals are playing the Pirates
And we're in extra innings.
because Greg Holland came in and couldn't get one out.
Now, in his defense, the defense didn't back him up. But this is becoming a recurring thing.
Yeah.
So, it's getting a little tougher to defend him. I get it's still his, spring training. The defense didn't bail him out. But you got a 5-2 lead going in the 9th inning. Michael has pitched great, but Norris came in and pitched great. And now it's the 11th inning, and we're going, well, see what happens.
Right. But at some point, you're getting paid $14 million to come in and get out. So
Yeah, so he needs to kind of just work on that. But let's not talk about the Pirates because right now we've turned the audio down on the TV because right now I don't want to watch. I'm going to just wait until it buzzes on my phone
Yeah,
because
so-
I'm scared of looking at the TV right now.
well, but if we react like outlandish and happy, we won. If we react outlandish and negative, we lost.
Pretty much. So this week's going to be a bit shorter of an episode, but there's a lot of points that I want to try to get to on this. So before this series, I want to do a little bit of a recap between the Cardinals and the Mets. We took 2 of 3.
Yep.
But I think we should have swept.
I do too.
That one game kind of sucks. We've had a few extra inning games this year, and that one was another tough one. Come the end of the year, those one-run games, those really late games are gonna start looking pretty bad if we don't make the playoffs.
Right. Now, I, for one, want to hang that loss on Matheny because he brought in Bowman.
I will say, I was on the 11th Inning Stretch podcast this past Thursday. You guys should check him out, by the way. He's a guy named Paul, does a lot of the podcasting stuff on Thursday mornings, and he's a great dude. Very knowledgeable, not just about the Cardinals, but just about baseball in general. So I would definitely check him out. But we were kind of talking about that. I don't put that particular loss all on Matheny. I put that partially on the fact that, Luke Weaver couldn't get through 5 innings, and you're going to already have to go to the bullpen. Because Bowman was the 4th or 5th reliever they had to use that game. Hicks gave up a run earlier.
Well, I'm all right with that, but like you tweeted out earlier tonight,
Yeah.
this was one of the classic blunders.
Yeah.
The first of which is never get involved in a land war in Asia. The second of which is
Don't bring in Bowman when the game's on the line.
so.
But, I like Bowman, but, he pitched well tonight. So, he came in the 9th inning, and, we were having a heart attack, and he got out of it, pitched the 10th, was able to, get some outs. So, he did well tonight, but, he is what he is. So, I personally would rack up that particular game to Luke Weaver, and, just the pitching staff in general has been giving, I brought it up the last time, too many walks. You're putting way too many guys on base. I wrote up a piece talking about, mostly about the rotation. I wrote up a piece about Miles Michaelis and how the rest of the rotation should take some notes because he is, without a doubt, one of the most efficient, underrated pitchers in the major leagues. He throws strikes. He doesn't throw a lot of pitches. He gets guys out, and like I put up a stat line comparing Michaelis to 3 different performances so far by Cardinal pitchers. You had Carlos Martinez in his first start, Luke Weaver in his last start, and then Greg Holland in his great debut. And in those 9 1/3 innings, they gave up 16 walks. Michaelis coming into tonight had walked 2 batters in 26 innings. And guess what? He pitched 7 tonight and walked 0. So he's at 33 innings pitched, and he's walked 2 batters. Do that.
Can't complain.
Yeah. Pitch like that. Throw strikes.
Yeah, so your advice to a young aspiring starting pitcher was number 1, throw strikes. Number 2, throw strike 2. And the number 3, throw strike 3. And then if they foul one of those 3 off, go ahead and throw something out of the zone.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many batters nowadays that watch the first pitch anyway. And especially if that batter is going to come up with that approach and you've seen that happen so far in their career, just throw one right down central.
So let me say something that I think that maybe like one of the things I was a little bit worried about with not having Lynn this year. Not that I think that we should have had Lynn, but we definitely needed
pitching great right now.
Well, yeah. That's not the point. The thing is Lynn filled a specific role because Lynn was a horse. He 8 innings. Mm-hmm. But if you've got a pitcher who over 33 innings walks 2 people, that means they're being efficient, which means that they're eating innings. So you said he went 7 tonight.
Yeah, he went 7 tonight, and I think he threw just over 100 pitches. In his previous 2 starts, he pitched 7 innings twice against. He pitched 7 innings twice against the Reds, and he threw 83 and 85 pitches. By the way, the Cardinals lost because that's what happens.
That's what we do. We lose it with the bullpen.
So they brought in. So I believe Hicks pitched that inning, and he gave up the loss. So I'm curious to see how many people on Twitter and Facebook later are just gonna bash Hicks, because I think it's funny that when Bowman or Leone or any of these other pitchers struggle, they're like, "Oh, this guy sucks." I know, and I want to see how many people want to defend Hicks after tonight. Because, I will defend Hicks because I think he's a great talent.
I don't blame Hicks at all for this. I mean, yeah, he gave up 1 run, but how many did Holland give up to get us to the point where we're at?
I would say that came down to defensive errors in that particular. I mean, they're not going to call it an error.
I saw 1 error in that inning.
You had Martinez 2 times
today.
Martinez
that ball.
Yeah, 2 times today. Martinez missed a play at first base, a grounder. 1 hit off his glove, and they ruled it as a hit. And then this one went under his glove, and they ruled it as a hit. But then very soon after that, there's a fly ball hit to center field. It was deep, hit off the wall, and Pham missed it. But then when he was going to pick up the ball, he fumbled the ball pretty much and then caused another run to score. He picks up that ball cleanly and throws it in. You've got guys on second and third, and it's a 5-4 ball game.
Well, if he doesn't try to make the play like a leaping catch, which it was close. I mean, hard to say. If you're in the moment, maybe I make the same decision. No, I'm not going to be in that moment because I ain't even getting close to that ball. I'm running to the outfield to pick it up off the grass.
Pretty much.
But the thing is it's easy to second guess stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember too, though, the ball. Okay, so granted, Martinez was a gift wrap double play ball. Mm-hmm. Can't assume the double play, but
even if you get one out,
if I designed
that's one run that doesn't score the next play.
If I designed a double play ball, it's going to look an awful lot like that.
Yeah.
That ball that Pham made the misplay on was roped. I mean,
yeah, that's the problem with Holland so far. I don't want to put all the blame on Holland, but he's giving up a lot of hard contact.
Now,
it's not like there's dribbles through dribblers past the third baseman that's not making the play. They're hitting the ball, and they're hitting the ball hard. So it's really tough to, keep defending him because I want him to pitch really well, but it's still happening.
So the thing is one of the things, and it's just bullpen management that's been consistent throughout Matheny's career as a manager. Not really happy with that. I thought the plan was, or the hope was, to bring in Maddox to kind of put the kiboshes on that, take a little bit more control, and have Matheny's ear. This year, it doesn't necessarily look like that. I mean, yeah, the year's still young, but I really would want to see him step up and maybe be a little more vocal, be like, hey, no Bowman.
The one positive is that at least Holland didn't walk anybody. Still gave up 3 hits and 2 earned runs, but in his defense, one of those runs was not counted as an earned run. So,
It wouldn't be because they got on because of an error.
yeah, so they did count one of them as an error. Yeah, I think it was the play from Pham when he bobbled the ball.
So, like, I never pitched, and so I'm not really familiar with how those stats work because it didn't matter to me because I wasn't a pitcher. So, earned runs.
And the idea in that particular situation is that Pham doesn't bobble that ball, that run doesn't score.
True.
And the Cardinals have the ability to potentially get out of it without that run scoring.
Yeah,
but
I think
because of his bobble, the run scored. That's not on the pitcher. That's on the defense.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you hook Holland a little bit sooner. There's we can second guess it. Hopefully we don't miss the playoffs by 1 or 2.
Yeah,
because those are the kind of games that are killer.
But
right they're in
now,
the past.
And right now, I don't think we will. I think we've played well. Tonight's loss kind of sucks because I was really hoping to get off on the right foot with Pittsburgh, because so far this season we're 7-0 against the Reds. But then now 8-10 against everyone else. We're playing 500 ball against the Brewers. We're playing 500 ball against the Cubs. We're playing 500 ball against the Mets,
which traditionally has been the recipe for playoff baseball.
Yeah,
is you play 500 against the good teams, and then you just pound the teams that you need to pound.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh started out this year really hot, but they have since cooled off. So this is so tonight was the moment where they needed to capitalize on that.
Right.
And just put their foot down. And up until the 9th inning, they were doing that. Michaelis was dealing from the get-go. Like I said, 7 innings. I think he gave up 6 hits, maybe 7, and he struck out 7. Yeah, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks. You can't ask for much more out of your starter. He threw 102 pitches and threw 72 of them for strikes. He currently leads the major leagues in strike percentage. He's a vastly underrated pitcher, and he's shown that if you throw strikes, you can get outs. And I wish that would continue.
Right.
But we'll see as time goes on.
So, like, before we get every day, we kind of do a little show prep. And so this whole having a game on in the background as we're starting our podcast has kind of changed that because we wanted to talk about that game. But like some of the things that we wanted to talk about, one of the things is should the Cardinals have swept? I think we did touch on that. Yes, I agree with that. I think they should have swept. But like then the next thing that we have here is Ozuna living up to the hype? Now, what a difference a game makes.
Yeah,
because he played and hit really well today.
Yeah, the last 2 games he kind of stepped up to the plate. Like I said, when I was on the 11th inning podcast, we talked about a little bit with Ozuna because I guess he's in a fantasy league and he has Ozuna, so he's like, I have more of a vested interest because I want him to do very well. And I summed it up as I think he's putting a little too much pressure on himself because he was brought in to be that middle of the order bat, and I honestly think he's kind of being overshadowed by Jose Martinez and Tommy Pham, to the point where he has to like really push himself because he doesn't want to be looked at as the number 3 hitter in their lineup. He wants to be the guy. And so I think he's just trying to put a little pressure on himself. I think he just needs to get back to the basics and just, shorten up your swing, do what you have to do. Just hit the ball. Just get the ball in play. It's not that
well, it's incredibly difficult.
Well,
it's easy very difficult. But you know what though? Like you said, Jose Martinez is raking. Pham is catching on fire. You know who else kind of like made me raise my eyebrows? It's Colton Wong.
Yeah, he's starting to come around. He's still not going to be like the offensive juggernaut that everyone thought he was going to be, but defensively he's about as good as you're going to get right now.
He's a plus defender, that is for sure.
Yeah, and so at that point, he may not hit great, but defensively, who are you going to put at second base that's going to compare?
Well, there's nobody defensively. So like you're swapping defense for offense.
And now
and we've made that sacrifice in a couple areas.
And here's the problem though. Right now, the guy that you would put in his place isn't exactly hitting much better either. Carpenter's not hitting. Jerko's hitting, but you're going to keep him at third because he's a plus defender at third base.
Mm-hmm.
So who else do you have? You've got Greg Garcia, who I love Greg Garcia, and I would give him daily at bats. But coming off the bench, he's a good contact hitter, and he has the ability to get on base. So right now, I don't see him becoming like a real plus role for the Cardinals unless just a crazy injury happens.
Right. I didn't particularly pay attention to the lineup today, but one of the things I did notice is with the lineup, they bumped Marp up to the leadoff spot, at least for a couple games.
Yeah, I don't think he played today. I think he was off today, but
right, yeah, it was
they
Pham,
had,
Fowler, Martinez.
Mm-hmm. Which I have no problem with Pham leading off, by the way, because he's a
good
very
leadoff
good
hitter.
leadoff hitter.
He's a good leadoff hitter.
He's a contact hitter. He gets doubles. He gets home runs, and he's very fast and can steal bases. Put him in the leadoff spot. That's not a problem for me.
And while we're talking about Pham, I was flipping through here my news stories, and it says Pham shakes off freak injury, and they've got a picture of Tommy Pham. So apparently, he was down in the cages using
his homemade contraption.
Yeah, that's what the tweet said. A homemade contraption is what I saw. I don't know what it looked like, but I am intrigued. But apparently, this homemade contraption that helps him hit
him in the face.
Broke and hit him in the head.
Accidental laceration.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the picture, and let me tell you what, it's kind of funny because it looks like he's wearing a stocking cap because he's got. Did he get
Honestly,
stitches?
I don't know if he got stitches, but he
was
definitely
bleeding.
Yeah, he was definitely bleeding from what I heard, and he had to get it checked out.
And so there's a picture because Fowler got that walk off in that game, and there's a picture of them like all mobbing Fowler, and Pham's in the background wearing this like head wrap thing.
I've seen a meme
stuff.
with that picture, and it's Dexter Fowler and Jed Jerko in that photo, and they're laughing.
Uh-huh.
And, they're smiling and laughing, and it says something about they mentioned something about Tommy's stocking cap, and he's like, "Shut up, guys." I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
I'll have to
stuff.
find it, but I'm really hoping the Cardinals capitalize against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is a young team, and they had that hot start, but I like probably most people thought they were going to fizzle out, and I'm hoping they do.
Mm-hmm.
But this series is crucial for the Cardinals because if they lose this series, granted, it is in Pittsburgh. It's a tough part to play in, but that's just putting them a step back of where they need to be. This is a team like Cincinnati they need to beat up on. And so this series intrigues me because, the past couple starts for Luke Weaver haven't been too ideal, and he's pitching on Sunday.
Right.
But then you've got Jack Flaherty, who's being called up to pitch tomorrow
Spot start.
in place of Waino. And
Also, with that being said, I know he's hurt right now, but the reports of Waino's demise have greatly been exaggerated.
yeah,
He has pitched
he's pitched fine.
fantastically.
Like he's definitely not the Wainwright of old, but
And he won't be.
But if you look at the numbers he's put up, I mean, in reality, the entire rotation has been way better than you'd think coming in the beginning of the year.
It's just the walks.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest concern so far from the rotation. When you put guys on like that, it's amazing how many runs get scored, and it's just free passes. Like the game with Luke Weaver in his last start, he walked 6 batters. He only gave up 2 hits, but walked 6 batters.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's going to drive your pitch count up.
Drives your pitch count up, puts guys on base.
And puts guys on for free. They're not even working for it.
Now, here's the thing, too, and you hear it mentioned every now and then. They talk about high-stress innings. When you walk people and put people on base and you got to worry about...
That's high stress.
That's high-stress innings. Also, when somebody's on base, you can't pitch from the windup, which is, naturally, for most starting pitchers, it's their most effective way to start the pitching motion.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they would just start off the stretch. But
yeah,
they all start off on the windup if there's nobody on base.
Very rarely do you see a starter pitch from the stretch when they could pitch from the windup.
Right. Usually it's some sort of they're fiddling with something or something like that. So anyway, it takes you out of that. And also, walks in any sport you play, I say any sport, that would be like softball or baseball, that sports that have walks. When you're playing defense and your guy pitching isn't pitching and he's walking people,
frustrating.
It is frustrating, and it puts you on your heels, and then it makes your defense does suffer from it.
I mean,
so
and you know, I feel this way in church softball. Like, it's church softball. It really shouldn't be that serious. But I know my ability when I play outfield. Like, I'm not going to be like a major league talent. It's just not. I'm 23 and I haven't
you'd
been
be
to the
one
gym
by
in a
now
while.
if you were.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, especially in a church softball league, I'm a pretty good outfielder. So I would rather me be able to do my job to get outs. You know, I would rather it be my fault that someone scored
Mm-hmm.
other than the pitcher,
Yeah.
giving up a walk. Like, if someone's going to score, I'd rather it be because I tried throwing the ball home and I just missed it.
Right.
I'd rather me do my best. Just sitting out there not being able to do anything is infuriating. And
It's infuriating. It's boring, and like I said,
it just gets more and more frustrating when it happens.
so and then the
'Cause
other
you
thing that
can't
happens
do anything about
is you're focusing on why isn't this guy
Mhm.
throwing strikes instead of focusing on when this ball gets hit to me, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, like, what are the
just takes-
scenarios that happen in this
It takes you
situation?
out of the game, and you can't have
Exactly.
that. One of the things that you and I guess, would like to see is more strikes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you start off with strike one, you put batters behind in the count, and you put the pressure on them.
Yeah.
Hitting is is much more difficult when you're down in the count than when you're ahead in the count, because then you're at the pitcher's mercy rather than the pitcher having to come to you. So
Yeah.
as a hitter, I would rather be ahead in the count. When we talked about this the last podcast, that's why I swing at first pitches if I know they're going to be strikes.
Yeah, if it's going to be a strike, just swing the bat.
All right. But I was looking at this too, though, and as of right now, including tonight's loss, the Cardinals are 15-10, which is a .600 winning percentage, and they are on top of the National League Central, which I didn't think they would do. So good for them.
Yeah, I still think this is a solid team. There have been losses like tonight that have been just
I wonder if we're going to
nail-biters.
see. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see this year, like, if it's going to become a theme where,
Yeah.
Our hitting gets down and, oh, thank the Lord, we've got a series against the Reds.
Yeah. I mean, last season we went 10-9 against the Reds, and I wrote up an article
10
talking
and 9
about
is fantastic.
10
We
and
don't
9
play them
against
enough.
the Reds.
We need to play
though.
them more.
But against the Reds last season, 10-9 is not good enough. This season, we're already 7-0 against the Reds.
Oh wait, 10-9.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was thinking we won 10 of 9. No, 10-9 is just above 500. That's not
that's
okay.
not good, especially against. It's not like the Reds were much better last season. They weren't. So we need those wins. And I wrote up a piece talking about how, last season we couldn't beat these teams and we were close to making the playoffs, but we weren't. But this year, we're beating those
You gotta
teams,
beat
and
the
that
bad
really
teams.
gives you a better opportunity. And I had a bunch of people on Facebook trying to be sarcastic, like, "Oh, you mean if you win games, you get to the playoffs?" Like, yes, stupid. That's what I just
Not
said.
just
read it.
games, but games that you're supposed to win.
Yeah,
Beat
like,
the teams you're supposed to beat.
you're supposed to win those games, and you're supposed to handily win those games,
Right.
and that's what they're doing, and that's
So-
a good sign.
There's no reason the Cardinals are good enough, are that much better than the Reds that there's no reason they shouldn't win 2/3 of their games against the Reds.
Yeah, even moving forward, if they win 2/3 of their games against the Reds,
Well, if they,
that's gonna be
they could
great.
play 500 from now on out,
Yeah,
and
I
still
would be
win more
fine
than
with
2/3.
that.
But they're not going to do that. They need to win those games because those games in the end are going to add up.
Yeah.
So beat the teams you need to beat up on. The question is, and as we're looking forward to the Pirates series, are they just in a lull, or are the Pirates for real? Jury's out, right? We still don't know because they're young.
They have a couple pretty solid starters.
True, but they traded away a lot of good talent.
Yeah, and that's their biggest thing. They have Josh Bell, who is a Rookie of the Year
Mhm.
candidate for them, and I think he's great. I think Starling Marte is
I was
good.
going to say Starling Marte is still
Gregory
a-
Polanco is a pretty good outfielder
Yeah.
as well. They've got talent, but
They're
in this
young.
division, do they have enough talent? And I don't think so.
I'm not convinced the Cardinals have enough talent in this division. I would say the Cardinals
I
have
think
more
the
talent.
Cardinals have way more talent than the Brewers do.
Oh, absolutely.
Starting pitching wise, it's ridiculously in our favor. And then offensively, I think we're pretty much on par. But then even with the Cubs right now, they've got the names, but those names haven't been producing yet. So right now, I think it's probably going to come down to the Cardinals and the Cubs. But they spent a lot of money for Yu Darvish, and Yu Darvish has not pitched well.
No.
And John Lester's been okay. Tyler Chatwood they brought in has been okay.
Well,
Their
and then,
best starter has been Kyle Hendricks, and
Le-
he's been okay.
Lester's been getting old.
Yep.
So Lester, I mean, I feel like Lester's going to be in the same boat. If he's not going to be in that boat this year, the same boat as Wainwright, then for sure next year he's going to be one of those guys. Like, yeah, he's got the name, but he's winding down, so you can't expect that ace of the rotation kind of stuff from him.
Yeah. Well, so like I told you guys, it's going to be a pretty short one today, but we're going to wrap this up real quick. I've got a question that I'm going to ask Mr. Brad over here. So, with the rest of this series against Pittsburgh, what are you looking forward to the most about this series?
What am I looking forward to,
Mm-hmm.
or what am I expecting?
I would say what you're looking forward to. Like, is there something coming up in this series that maybe you would like to see? Because for me, it's Jack Flaherty.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's been hyping this kid up, and
Yeah.
I think he's very talented. But I
I-
want to see what he does again. Because if he comes out there and struggles, are people still going to be all for him, or are you just going to flip the bandwagon again and go, oh, nope, he's not ready? I want to see what he's able to do, because clearly he was not happy with being sent back down. And, he's been dealing in Memphis, so I want to see what he's going to do in Pittsburgh against this team. I just want to see what kind of stuff he's going to bring to the table, and whether or not he can convince the Cardinals to keep him around a little longer. Because from what I've heard, Wainwright, is on the DL. But from what I've heard,
There's some other
Flaherty,
guys knocking
Flaherty
the
is
door.
sticking around until Wainwright comes back. So if Flaherty deals, he might stick around for another start. So I want to see if he can, get over the emotions of having to go back down to Memphis, and I want to just see him go out there and pitch.
Yeah, what would be nice to see from him is him pitching with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you guys for sending me back down, right? You want him to play for the Cardinals like he would if he were coming back to a team who had traded him away, and now he's playing for the other team that they traded him to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you see guys do that. So it'd be nice to see some mental toughness out of him. I agree with that. That'd be kind of cool. I want to see if the hitting continues. What I would love to see from this Cardinals offense is not necessarily that for 3 games they rip 390 and hit 60 home runs and whatever as a team. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
Yeah.
And then the next series they're down hitting 190.
They're scoring 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah, scoring
a game.
1 or 2 runs. In the end, if you hit 400 for a series and you hit 100 for a series and you hit 400 for a series, it's going to average out, and the average is going to look pretty good. But it's not necessarily going to equate into wins.
It doesn't mean you're going to win games that
Right.
way.
So what I would like to see is consistency in the offense. And then the next thing I want to see is good bullpen management.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think our bullpen is very talented, but it seems like there's always one guy that just doesn't have a great outing, and unfortunately, it seems to be the same couple guys. And
they seem to be favorites.
Yeah, and one of the problems is that I try to stick with is that they're not going to get out of a funk if they don't pitch. But when it's a reoccurring thing,
maybe
it
it's not
becomes
a funk.
more and more of a problem.
Yeah, maybe it's not a funk.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to give him a shot, give him a shot. Maybe you hook him a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Maddox was brought in to kind of have Matheny's ear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he does. Maybe this is Maddox's thing. Maybe not. I don't know who's responsible for it because I'm not actually in the dugout.
Yeah.
But I do know it
They
fits
kicked
the.
me out last time. So.
Yeah. We haven't got our press passes yet. So you guys make sure you write the Cardinals some letters. Tell them you need Brad and Aaron to get some press passes so we can get down there. We can do some interviews.
Yeah, because that'd be fun.
I think right now we have 2 subscribers, and it's 3 subscribers. It's me, you, and my wife.
No, Rolo.
Rolo
We've got
subscribed.
4.
4 subscribers.
Get on it, guys.
Yeah. So,
But very soon, this podcast will be up on iTunes. I'm in the process of getting all that set up, and then we'll start uploading on there too. So if that's your thing, if you don't want to use data and listen to YouTube in your car, we'll be able to add it on Apple pretty soon. So all you got to do is open up your podcast app and let her rip. But right now, this is just the way we're going with it.
This is what we can do. Also, if you want to, maybe I don't know if we can link these videos to Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm not very active on Facebook, but you are. So
yep, I'm pretty active on social media and Facebook. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is at Suspects Musial. I wanted to go with just the Musial Suspects, but apparently someone picked it. So
Right.
whatever.
It's a clever name.
Yeah, exactly. Which
So
apparently is a favorite among St. Louis Cardinal
I-
area fantasy baseball teams.
I am clever. I'm just not fast clever.
But then if you want, you can follow myself on Twitter. It's more for my Arch City page. I post a lot of stuff about the Cardinals, mostly like articles and stuff like that. And that's it. Aaron Arch City. So Aaron Arch City. So if you want, you can follow me on there. And then we also have a Facebook. So follow us on Facebook and just search The Musial Suspects. You'll know it's us because you'll see that profile picture and go, all right.
And if you just found us on YouTube, go ahead and click that
Yeah.
subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell icon,
Yeah.
so it knows when we upload a new one. That way,
Right.
you won't miss out.
Also, if you want to direct some hate mail at somebody for not uploading these as fast as they should be uploaded, you can go ahead and direct that to me. But summer's rolling around. I'll have a little more time.
Yeah. We're figuring it out. We're trying to get these things pumped out as quickly as possible. But it's a process, and once we get more efficient, like Michaelis is on the mound, then we'll get these things out pretty quick.
Yeah. All right. So I don't really have anything else. Do you?
Nope. I think that's going to be it for us today. So like I said, we really appreciate you guys, listening in on the podcast. So I'm Aaron.
And I'm Brad, and this has been
The Musial Suspects.
It's not playing, Aaron.
I did my best. Hold on. How about this one? No, stop it. It should be going now.
No, not a ting.
Oh,
All
no.
right. Well, that's it.
Hashtag outro music failed.
Yeah. Well, we were professional at the beginning, so maybe next time.
We'll just loop it back around.
All right.
Fine.
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.